Good morning, welcome everybody, and yes, as Martin just said, my job is to talk to you about finance in precious 9 minutes, so bear with me as we go. I work with a company called Business Angels Finance. It's just one of many sort of sources of finance that any one of you might be using to help fund your businesses. And I'd just like to say on behalf of all us guys out there trying to make finance work in your business, we're very keen on Growth Accelerator. Because as a program, it really brings business to their peak of performance. And when you're trying to arrange finance for a business, it makes an easier job for us if we can really get high-performing businesses, show those to the source of investment, and it means we're going to make good returns all round. So that's why we're here and supporting the program very much. But before I get into sort of talking to you a bit more about access to finance, I want to be a bit more engaging with you in this room and ask two key questions at this time in the morning, so please participate with me. Question number one is, does anybody in this room want to make a ridiculous amount of money? Raise your hands if you wish to. Thank you, thank you. Yes. And the second question, does anybody in this room have any ideas about business? Some good ideas. Raise your hands, please. Excellent. Okay, a little bit playful, those two questions, of course. But the reason for asking them is to talk to you about entrepreneurship. Because with entrepreneurs that we work from the finance sector, and we're trying to find you in your businesses to support your ideas and to support your ambitions, that desire to make lots of money. Don't be shy about that. It's good news from an investment point of view. So let me move on. And this particular slide here is quite a busy slide, for which I partially apologise. I'm going to not work through every word you'll be pleased to hear, but just chat to you generally about the things you see here. And the era that we're in at the moment is one where there's a lot of bank bashing going on. You know, banks are getting bad press generally. And as the flip side of that, it means there's lots of alternative sources of finance. Hey, this is good news. Lots of options for you as businesses to think about. But within that, there's also a problem, and this is where Growth Accelerator helps enormously with access to finance, is really understand what type of finance is going to work for your business, and how to get it, and how to make it work effectively. So a good news story here. And at the top there, you just see, I'm sure, a lot of these expressions, ones you increasingly see in the press about crowdfunding, loans, grants, banks they see, business angels, venture capitals, public listing. The first one, by the way, is friends, family and founders, and it refers to that initial stage when the business is setting up. Lots of sources of finance. Which source is going to work for you? So it leads down to your requirements, and classically it starts off with really understanding whether debt or equity or a mixture of the both might be the right sort of investment to work for your business. So on the debt side, it's some form of loan, isn't it? You're going to repay it. On the equity side, a dear old Dragon's Den program, which is in which you're releasing equity, a certain amount of your shares for the business for the incoming investment. Which one of those works better for you? And underneath that, it's questions about your ability to repay these items, the serviceability. But alongside that, the PG reference in the centre of the screen refers to personal guarantees, levels of assurance you're going to give to that source of investment that you're going to be able to back it up and repay the money. And within all of that, your BP, your business plan, is an essential document for sources of investment to really get to understand your business quickly and try and understand and work with you to make sure investment works properly. So very important things there. And then thinking with you again in this section here about the investor requirements, having thought about your requirements, investor requirements, there are really three key questions to trap here. And they're very simple. I like sort of simple ways. It's the way I understand things. Question number one is, how much money do you want? And that often comes out of really understanding where your cash flows are and the amount of money you need to support the business, why you want it. Investors tend to be a little bit concerned if you're going to buy a fleet of Ferraris. They prefer to see the money's being spent on generating and growing the business. But hey-ho, the third question there, ladies and gents, is when to get the money back. And strangely enough, investors are quite interested in this question and want to know they are going to get it back and how much, and those sort of things come out. Beneath that there, the last few bullet points here are dealing with the legalities of the environment we work in. There's a foundation sort of area of law in the Financial Management Services Act of 2000, and there's the dear old FCA. We happen to be authorised by the FCA to conduct our business, and there's some good reasons for the legislation that's around that. But the other key points to think about in thinking about investment and how to access it, certainly about planning. People often come to this last minute, oh my God, where am I going to get the money to do it? You'll see in a minute, we really need to work with you to plan it long term. It does take time, it takes your time out of the business to do it. How you're going to market your proposition to those sources of investment, how you're going to negotiate the right transaction for you to enable you to take your business forward. And the final thing, often forgotten about, is post-investment, how you're going to deal with that money and relate to your investors afterwards. And really, when we think about all of those, the bottom expression there, coaching helps with all the above. Good old growth accelerator, it really does help get through there. Anyway, that's a busy slide. I'm sorry to have taken you through that. Let's see some nicer pictures, shall we? Try and bring it to life a bit more. So down here we have the garden shed moment. Guy with the light bulb moment is thinking up his great idea. I know you in the room here have great ideas, and you want to take it to market. So as you go through your life along the x-axis here, from that pre-seed moment through to seed, start-up, early growth and sustained growth, as you're going down that journey, here is your increasing amount of capital you require. So the 3 F's is where you might be starting off with your credit card to get the business underway through that prototype stage. It's sometimes humorously referred to as friend, family and fool source of money, because the business is at most risk at that stage. You then, as the business is growing, you're requiring things like loans and grants and crowdfunding, moving up the scale here towards where you become the big old smiley face there, where you've gone for a public listing. So people tend to talk about this as the finance ladder as your business is going through this period of growth. And right in the middle there is where I particularly happen to work with the business I work with, trying to find sources of debt and equity to find that gap between this stage and that stage and make the business grow. So a bit of thinking around that, and this is where Growth Accelerator can help you move up the ladder. And I referred just now to the whole planning issue. It takes time, guys, is the bottom line thing here. So the initial planning, your preparation of documents, how you're going to promote your proposition, the dialogue you need, the negotiation agreements you're going to get into place, the due diligence needs to take place, and that legal completion. Quite a period of time here that's going to go on. Set time aside, please, to make the right decisions. So, to finish up on my particular piece here, we're all giving you 3 top tips, and I'm dwelling here on those 3 investor questions for you. So question number 1, how much investment do you need? Question number 2, what's it needed for? The third question, when am I going to get my money back, and how much? I suggest you're on top of those 3 questions, and if you're not, Growth Accelerator can certainly help. But those are the tips I'd like to leave you with this morning. Thank you very much. I'm going to pass on to Sue now, who's going to deal with the most important thing about people. Thank you for your time.